play that we can show you right away from last year against the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of what we think of classically as power, which is the ability to take on contact, pump your feet, churn those legs, and still get 5 extra yards through contact. I mean, this is true yards through contact, not the statistical yards through contact, which can be very easily inflated by 1 yard long run. This is what actual yards through contact looks like, and it's what we think of when we think of Adrian Peterson, is his ability to do this.
Right. Get in the end zone, dude. Do it right now. Do it 15 times, please. Maybe not anymore for Adrian Peterson, but when you see people doing things like this, rock on. They're good. Here's one from Mark Ingram, another one where I think just what it looks like when a running back pinballs, right? It just, you get to the second level, the third level, and that's power. You take a hit from a really good player. I think that's Micah Hyde, and you keep going. And
it's an all-pro safety right there.
Right. We pretty much understand that is what we mean by power. Able to withstand it and stay on your feet. I want to get to a few other plays where maybe it's we can hopefully teach some folks. And maybe the theme winds up being power isn't just about staying on your feet when you get a giant full frontal hit right from a defender, but maybe some other stuff. Take me through a Zeke Elliott play where it's 3rd and long and he's got to get that yardage.
Yeah, I mean, again, Zeke is probably the prototypical power back in the NFL today, kind of taking that mantle from Adrian Peterson. It's because he has this ability, in terms of, and this is in the receiving game, so it's even a little bit different. He has the ability, when he's got 5 yards to go to the sticks, to deliver a really good stiff arm on a DB. I believe it's Nolan Carroll at the time, and this is from 2016, by the way. And then as he's kind of deflecting that blow with the stiff arm, he's able to lower his shoulder and take on that second hit. It's usually the second guy that gets you, not the first guy. But, this is a little bit more subtle power in terms of as he's taken the hit, or as he's taken the cut in the flat, lead foot, lead shoulder, get off me. He's not even looking at the DB. He just feels him there. He's able to absorb the contact with the stiff arm as he's looking for the hit coming from his right, lower the shoulder, and he has the lower body strength and the balance to still dive for the sticks and keep the drive going. This is power. This is what I look for. This is, actually, I got one better for you now that I think about it. I got Marshawn Lynch, who, again, we think of as a power back, but there's a little bit more technique to it than you think. When he's taken on that tackler in space, just like Zeke, this is a perfect textbook tackle, in terms of leading with that lead shoulder, bringing your weight through his frame, wrap up on the lead foot. But what makes Marshawn Lynch such a good power back, and it's what we look for in other power backs, is even if you have a perfect tackle, he's still going to put you on the ground. And there's a little bit of technique to it. He's got a little bit of that forearm shiver, so he can absorb contact with that forearm and then finish with his legs. So you start with the arms.
That's a stiff arm with the ball, Brett.
Yeah, it's a stiff arm with the ball. You start with the arms and finish with the legs. So kind of just like that Zeke play we just showed, this is an even better example because it shows how you can deflect initial contact with your arms and then finish with the legs as you're looking for contact. And again, he puts his face on the ground just like Zeke did. This is what we look for in power. It's not just strength. There's a little bit of technique to it too. And his technique is defeating the DB's technique in space and lets him get a whole bunch of extra yards. So, it's a perfect example. And I think we have maybe a more subtle example to round things off that you can take us through with Alvin Kamara.
Right, because Kamara really isn't what you would think of as a traditional quote-unquote power back, a 215-pound player who was supposed to come into the league and maybe be a third down back. And I think maybe what I'm going to come down to is pay attention to the running back's arms. That's fine technique. He's in the hole. He's waiting for him, and get off me.
It's a perfect form wrap-up tackle through the lower body, but Kamara starts with the arms, deflects contacts with the stiff arm, and finishes with the legs.
Yeah.
There is technique to power, and he's definitely got it. And you don't think of it because he's 215 pounds, 210 pounds maybe even. People think of him as a change of pace back, but this is what power looks like, and it's a beautiful example.
Hey, quick break to say we're sponsored by Taft Shoes. And Brett, I wear my Taft shoes out at night sometimes.
Look for in power. It's not just strength. There's a little bit of technique to it too. And his technique is defeating the DB's technique in space and lets him get a whole bunch of extra yards. So, it's a perfect example. And I think we